Thanks for staying with us on The Spin Room, and we're back with our weekly segment, Creative Side, where we meet the authors, the screenwriters, the directors, and actors behind new and upcoming books and films about this region and more. It's an honor this week to be joined in the studio by Nir Baram, a descendant of an Israeli political dynasty who, in recent years, has become one of the country's most respected and prolific novelists. Hailed for his complex and insightful writing, Baram explores both the Israeli experience and his own life through the lens of history. His new book, Yekitza, or At Night's End in English, is his most personal yet. Nir, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you very much.
I can see already, we're going to show them on the screen, that the book is getting rave reviews. For example, the first one I have here is from A.B. Yoshua, one of the most popular authors, not only in Israel, but abroad as well, saying, you know, an impressive, profound, accurate book that touches the nerve endings of emotion. And here we have some more from Maya Sela, Baram's best Nava, author Leah Aini, a novel that is at times poetry and at times a cutting wind. I want to ask you, you know, tell us a bit about the book and why you wrote it, because as the critics said, and as I mentioned, it seems to be your most personal yet, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it might have been triggered by the loss that you recently had of a very close friend?
Yes. Actually, my best friend from childhood died in 2014. He committed suicide, and after he died, there was nothing else I could write about. But I didn't want to write a direct book about it. You know, usually what you do in literature is you take all your demons and your fears, and through imagination makes it into a story. You turn demons into a story. So I was looking away for writing about it, and then I found some way between fiction, imagination, and also it's a very personal novel. It is also talks about my family, my life experience, the way I grew up, things I believe in.
So it's autobiographical in a way?
Not autobiographical, but it has a lot of personal stuff.
Right.
And this, in all my books, there was this sense, you know, the complexity between experience that I know, but also in different scenarios, like in the Second World War and in capitalism, in World Shadow. But this time, it's really inside Jerusalem. It's a very Jerusalemic book.
But yeah, and you shift through different periods of time.
Yes. In the 80s and the 90s, it's a story about 30 years of friendship. When the best friend of the protagonist, who is a writer like me, goes back to live with his parents in the childhood neighborhood and tells everyone he will not live another summer.
Yeah.
And then the protagonist needs to think about, can he save his best friend and go back to the childhood, the place he doesn't want to go back, or, but this is still temptation, or to stay with his wife and kid. And this is a book that I never got so emotional reaction for any book I wrote, also
Really?
from readers. Yeah, I never felt this way. I always felt in other books more intellectual responses, but this time the emotional responses, were pretty amazing.
I think they felt the emotion coming out from the book as well. I mean,
so.
what was it for you? Also a way to deal with the death? Was it? I mean, did you have feelings of, I don't know, guilt or regret, things that you wanted to say to your friend, I believe his name was Uri? That you didn't say, that you kind of wrote in the book? Maybe it was therapeutic in a way for you?
No, look, it's not things I wanted to say to him, but it is a conversation with the dead, in a way, with my mother, that died when I was 19, and with Uri. But you know, the book is not depressing. A lot of people don't find it depressing because it has this essence of sorrow and grief, and it talks about lost time, but it also has a lot of things from the beauty of life and the great moments of life. And this combination, I think, for the readers is quite striking. In the same page, you can feel death that is coming, but also how amazing life can be. And in a way, when I wrote the book, you know, I had these memories about my childhood. It always was horrible. But when I wrote the book and I tried to feel again 88 and 94 when I was 18 and 9, suddenly I got it, that it wasn't that horrible all the time. It was so amazing, and I had this story in my mind.
And the name of the book, At Night's End, how does it connect? What does it mean exactly?
It means that morning comes.
Morning comes.
And you need to wake.
And you wake from what?
Wake up. I think the book begins with the writer wakes up in Mexico City in a hotel room, doesn't remember anything that happened to him, and when he talks to people, he learned that he told everyone that his best friend had died, but his best friend is still alive. He killed him while he was alive, and the whole story is why. Why did it happen? So it was the book deals a lot with the way that you wake up, not in the morning, but in a more interesting sense.
Well, Nir, you've written extensively also about, you know, the political situation, about the occupation here in Israel as well. You wrote a book called A Land Without Borders, I think it was a couple years ago, 2017. Am I right? Okay. You spent months for that book, you know, speaking to people in the West Bank, secular Jews, religious Jews, settlers, Palestinians in Jerusalem, over the border. beyond that separation fence. And basically, what you concluded was that this isn't only about just 1967 and the Six-Day War. This goes back, right, to 1948.
Look, in a way, there was a camp in Israel that I was part of and I'm still part of. This is my friends, but invented a conflict that started in 67, or at least came to its peak in 67. And in the Palestinian experience, it's simply not true. 48 was always the Palestinian trauma. And it's not about who's right and who's wrong. My book was not about solutions. It was about talking to people, asking questions, listen to them, and listen to everyone, and ask them tough questions, but fair questions. And then you understand that the bigger problem we have, that there is this is a land, that there are two different people that believe all the land, not just belong to them, but they feel connected to all the land.
A very deep connection.
And with the Palestinians, even stronger because it's their homes. You know, there was many Palestinians who tell me, look, I don't have anything in Ramallah. I'm from Lod or from Tel Aviv or from Jerusalem. And they don't say it because they want to destroy Israel, because they talk about home. And I've realized that we need the healing process. A reconciliation process,
one of the things that you
close to South Africa, then to a deal that will make. There will not be a deal tomorrow.
Reconciliation, yeah. One of the things you mentioned, I think, in an interview with Haaretz, the Israeli Daily, is how you talk about a moral revolution.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Look, I think that Palestinians, some of them, don't feel that the Jews are part of this place, and a lot of Jews. Settlers, but also right wing told me the Palestinians will vanish, they will go back to, don't feel the place. We need to first recognize that both of us are part of this place. And we need also understanding, also young settlers I met, by the way, they understand it. That
the younger generation?
Maybe you want some of them, you want the land, but there is a price to pay. So I always say, I'm for equal rights for everyone. One state, two states, three state confederation, it's only a tactic. But if you believe in equal rights for everyone, I'm on your side. And there are some settlers, young settlers, that got it. That they try to find it, but it's very hard.
You have to go quick. Are you hopeful? Because you mentioned the younger generation, the younger settlers. Does that give you hope?
Not the younger settlers, but I'm hopeful. I think that Israel is now in a tough position, but I think that in the future we will have to solve the conflict, and we need to start to talk about the conflict in a new way.
Okay. Nir Baram and your new book, At Night's End, we wish you all the luck with that new book. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been an honor to have you.
Thank you.
We have to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at how social media has reacted to the Helsinki summit between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Stick around.